everyone, it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have another really fun plan with me to share with you all. Not that all my weeks aren't fun, but let's be honest, the Monday through Thursday of work is not seen in this plan with me because I am finally planning for the week that I went to Greece, which was the first stop in this great journey that me and my boyfriend planned for our 30th birthdays. Neither of us had ever been to Greece, and this was actually our first international trip together, which was very exciting. But Greece has always been on my, the tippy top of my bucket list. I'm pretty sure it was number one for places that I wanted to travel to. And it's just one of those things where there's things you want to do in life, and there's just things you really want to do in life. So this is one of the first things that I've really have always wanted to do since I was younger. I mean, I've always wanted to go to London and Paris, but I feel like Greece was just always at the top. And I thought it would be something I couldn't do until I was way older. But to get to do it for my 30th, the introduction to my 30th year, my 30s as a decade, I was super excited for it. Me and Nick had been planning this trip since we turned 29. So since literally June of 2022, we started planning this once we were this is what we're going to do next year. We started planning it. We started booking things maybe 8 months in advance. So to finally get to go on this trip was just insane. And spoiler alert, it just above and beyond exceeded my expectations of what I was expecting for this whole trip to be. It was so much fun. I loved every second of it. I was tired for a lot of it, but I wouldn't take a second of it back, and I would redo it all if I could. Okay, so I'm using the Greece kit from jkruuuplans Co., which when I told Andre that I was going to Greece and I was like, hey, do you think you could make a Greece kit? There was a kit that was kind of Greece-ish, Greece vibes, but I had used it already, and I didn't know if Andre still made it, but I don't like to reuse kits, so I was just if you could make something that's really Greece, I'd love you forever. I already love her forever, but I was please. So of course she came through, and I am so happy because I loved getting to mark this week with this kit. Also, this is another spread where the sidebar is a day. So technically for this week, I am planning, not even technically, literally, I am planning this week, Tuesday, May 9th. So that's the first day you see that is in the sidebar until Tuesday, May 16th. So there's a whole week and a day in this spread. And I am using overlays from jkruuuplans Co. I'm doing a mixed metal moment for this whole week. And then I am using Plana Hannah underlays. They're little vines. And each different day is gold, silver, and a repeating pattern. I cut up some of these tall boxes so that it would make sense to fit all the days and they would still be lined up together. I had to give them the chop in some areas. Again, I had to cut off some toes for that girl in the bottom right, but I think it came out beautiful either way. And I was just, I love it so much. It's so pretty. And I got to use all these stickers. Oh, I also used Grease stickers from Once More with Love. I think they're a pretty old design, but I checked on the off chance that she had them, and Mark did. So I ordered 2 of them, and they were really nice to mark niche things or just to add a little bit more Greece and Greek into the spread. So yeah, super excited with the way the base turned out. I'm super excited with how the whole spread turned out, but let me get into all the plans and the stuff. Just we'll get the ball rolling. So on Tuesday, that was the day that Nick and I were leaving to go on our flight. So in the morning, I marked just some snuggle time because we both had off of work, because we were getting on a plane. We got to sleep in a little bit. Actually, we didn't get to sleep in because I had not gotten the opportunity to get a pedicure the last 2 weeks I was planning to, because there was just so much going on, and especially on the weekends, I could not find time to go get a pedicure. So finally I went to a place near me. I was near them. Sorry, hold on. I went to a nail salon near me, but I hadn't been able to get an appointment on their website. So my best bet was calling when they opened on this Tuesday to see if they had any chance of taking me and Nick to get a pedicure. This is his first pedicure too. He loved it, by the way. But I was just hi at 9 a.m. Is there any possibility you have time in 15 minutes for 2 pedicures. And they were like, you want us to do a pedicure in 15 minutes? I'm like, no. I'm like, I can be there in 15 minutes. Do you have the time? Because like, I know like people are booked and busy. So I was like, I'm like, no pressure if not, but like, is there any possibility? And they're like, if you get here in the next like 10 minutes, we can do your pedicure. And I was like, okay, cool. Nick was like in the bathroom and I literally like pulled him out and I was like, we gotta go. We gotta leave now. So that was the first chaotic part of the trip, was getting some pedicures done. He was like, go on without me. I'm like, no, you need to experience getting a pedicure. So we got them. He loved it. My toes were cute. I didn't get gel pedicure, which is what I usually get, but they're still like holding on. So I don't know why I get gel pedicures, but they're still holding on. Then we got done from the pedicures, packed up some final things or just like closed our luggages. And then my mom drove us to the airport. We hung out in the airport for a little bit. I was getting hungry, even though I think we like ate breakfast, but it wasn't a very fulfilling breakfast. So I was also, I was like smelling a lot of the different restaurants in the terminal. And I think it was just making me hungry. So we walked around and we got some pizza. That was really good and then gave me heartburn. So, you know, you just can never win. And then I marked, let the adventure begin, because this was the beginning of a very exciting, big adventure. And so the last thing I marked with like a big full box was that we flew from JFK to Athens. I feel like I'm talking very, very quickly. So Wednesday, May 10th was our first, actually it was not our first full day. It was the day that we landed in Athens. So the flight was about 10 hours to get to Athens. And so we left at like around 3 o'clock New York time and we landed at 8 a.m. Athens, Greece time. And we did not sleep on the plane at all. We were in Comfort Plus, but we were like in the first row of Comfort Plus. And so the TVs have to come out from the sides and they have these like really like rigid, what is it? Like the seat, not the seat handles, like the armrest. They have like really like hard metal armrests that you can't like move up and down. They gave us blankets and stuff, but I was like, I'm so uncomfortable. I took like melatonin and I could not fall asleep. The whole plan was to fall asleep and we just could not. But we landed on May 10th, which also happened to be Nick's 30th birthday. So that was very exciting. I was super excited to get to where we were going so that, you know, we could get settled and get ready for his big 30th birthday dinner. So I marked that we're in Greece and, right. So we landed in Athens and then we had to transfer to get onto like a local flight to Mykonos. I'm glad we didn't take the ferry for 2 reasons. One being, One being that it is quicker to fly, and 2 being I didn't know that I was going to get seasick. But that's for a later part in the week. So yeah, we took a flight to Mykonos and it had kept saying it was delayed. And then it said it was about 30 minutes delayed. And me and Nick were getting a little bit like antsy and we're like, should we like message the driver that we booked to take us to the hotel in Mykonos and let him know we're late? And I was like, I guess, but like the time that we're landing still has not changed. So let's say like our flight was supposed to leave at, the flight was supposed to leave at 10:50 in the morning and we didn't leave till maybe 11:20 around that time. And it still said we were going to land at 11:45. I was like, I don't know. Like, so I'm like, let's just hold off. If anything, once we get on the plane, if it's too late, then I will message him and be like, sorry, we're going to be a little bit late. That flight was 14 minutes. We took off so fast, the flight attendants came down with water. They went to the end of the plane, then came running back, collecting everybody's water bottles back, like their empty water bottles, sat down and we landed. It was the quickest flight of my life. I thought it was supposed to be like 40 minutes, which I already thought was quick. 14 minutes from takeoff to touchdown, and we were just like out the door. Our luggage also took a little bit of time, but our driver was waiting for us, and I think he only had to wait like maybe like 10, 15 extra minutes. I just like could not stop laughing at like the hilarity of how quick that flight went. So then our driver took us to a Santa Marina, which was the hotel that we stayed at, which I think is like the only hotel on Mykonos that has like its own private beach. It was a resort and we didn't mean to book a resort, but it kind of worked out. Like it was a really nice hotel. We checked in. They upgraded us to a suite with like a really large balcony, which was super nice because the first few days it was kind of cold to go down to their beach. So we just kind of like, if the sun was out, got to lay out on our balcony on these like sunbeds that they had, which was great. And then we fell asleep. I was so tired and I was convinced I was going to sleep for like 3 hours, but I just completely like clean knocked out. And I think I slept for about an hour and a half, and it was the most glorious nap I have ever taken. Like I actually woke up refreshed and like ready to take on the rest of the night. And I think while we were sleeping, the people had kept coming into our room for like one reason or another. And then like the third time they came in and gave us a complimentary bottle of wine, which Nick and I just completely took down. The theme also for this trip was that me and Nick kept drinking and we could not really get drunk, I think, except for one night. And we were like drinking bottles of wine. And then even in Vegas, we were like drinking, well, Nick was drinking hard liquor and we just couldn't get drunk. And then long story short, turns out we were overly hydrated. Not like we were overhydrated, but we were drinking so much water to make sure we were hydrated that we were just supplying our liver with so much, like we were helping our liver basically metabolize all the alcohol. So we like barely ever got drunk, which is fine. It was just really like a funny observation. But yeah, they gave us a complimentary bottle of wine and then we relaxed on the balcony, just enjoying the sun and the views and the wine before we got ready to go out into Mykonos town to a reservation at a restaurant called M Eating, which Nick had found online. So I was super excited to try it out. They sat us down and everything on the menu looked delicious. I ordered like 4 or 5 appetizers plus an entree. Every single thing was delicious, but we were so full, which I marked with 2 little tubby munchkins. We were so full that Nick said I was no longer allowed to order because of how many appetizers I ordered. He was like, it's just too much food. And I'm like, I agree, but like everything looks good. And I fully understand I can come back to Greece one day. Like if I could do it once now, I can do it again. But I was like, I just want to try everything. And there was like a tomato soup. There was goat cheese. There was meatballs. What else was there? There was a salad. Oh yeah, I ordered a salad everywhere we went because the more feta, the better. I will see myself out. But yeah, everywhere we went, I ordered a salad because in Greece, at least everywhere I went, they gave you a block of feta cheese on top of the salad. And it's always delicious. Also, they put oregano and, well, obviously they put olive oil on the cheese in the salad, but then they sprinkle oregano on the feta cheese. And I feel like that was just a game changer of my life that I didn't know I needed. But it's delicious. So if you've never had that, put a little bit of oregano on feta cheese. So good. So yeah, after that, we got back into the hotel. We explored a little bit before and after we had gone to eat dinner around Mykonos town, but we were going to do more exploring the next day. So we were just like, let's call it a night and try to get some sleep. So we watched a bunch of Jersey Shore. I think we stayed up really, really late watching it. Maybe not this night, but I think like in 2 nights. We were up till like 3:00 in the morning watching Jersey Shore. So yeah, so I marked that. Then on Thursday, we slept in a little bit and we completely missed breakfast. Nick said I was so like stone cold out that like I did not move at all. And he was up at like maybe 8:00 and he said he couldn't even wake me up. And I was like, sweet. But it was the best sleep I had gotten in such a long time. But we completely missed breakfast. They had free breakfast at our hotel. He woke me up and I was like, oh, breakfast is till 11. And he was like, oh yeah, it's like 10:15. And I was like, okay, that's great. Like, good. Let's get out of bed in like 15 minutes, go grab breakfast, and then we can get ready like fully afterwards. And then I looked at the time and it was 11:15 and I was like, ugh. Okay, well then we completely missed breakfast. So we ordered room service, which was really, really expensive. But what did we order? We ordered a Caesar salad with grilled chicken to share. And because like we couldn't figure out like what to eat. So we were just like, let's share this and then like we'll go back into town and then we'll get like souvlaki or like a pita or something. So that way we can like taste a lot more food. So I'm like, we weren't going to fill up on breakfast. So we got a salad, we shared it. It was delicious. It was expensive, but it was delicious at least. Did we get more wine? No, we didn't get wine. So then we just relaxed and sunbathed on our balcony again because the sun had come out, but it was still pretty chilly outside. So we were just relaxing. I think I was scrolling on like TikTok or just looking at random stuff on my phone. I didn't bring any books to read. I know I was saving all my, audiobooks for this trip. I didn't listen to a single one of them. Like any moment I had, I just like hung out and like talked with Nick or was sleeping or just like doing something else on my phone. So yeah, so we relaxed and sunbathed before we got ready to go out back into Mykonos town and like the little Venice area, which was so pretty. It was really windy and cloudy, but I remembered to wear a dress that would not fly up, which was good because I think the night before when we gone out for Nick's birthday, I wore a dress and it was so windy it kept flying up. So I wore a longer dress this time. So that way if it did fly up, it wouldn't fly up to see my underpants. But yeah, so we walked around into all the little shops. I did a lot of my souvenir shopping. We also stopped at a place called Pepper Souvlaki to get some pork souvlaki. And oh my God, it was amazing. And they put the most seasoned French fries into it. I loved it. Nick was like, should we share one? And I said, absolutely not. I'm getting my own souvlaki. It was so good. Then we actually went to the Louis Vuitton store that was in Mykonos town because there was a perfume that I had wanted from Louis Vuitton. And I was like, I'm going to treat myself to it. And I almost bought it when we were in the city, New York City. And my mom was like, no, don't buy it here. You're going to Europe. Like, you should buy it there because it's cheaper. Plus, you don't have to pay taxes on it. I was like, that is so smart. But I'm like, is there a Louis Vuitton in Mykonos or anywhere in Greece that we're going? And there was. So I waited patiently and I saved like $100, which was so nice. It was, what is it called? The perfume's called Afternoon Swim. And it's like a really pretty summer scent. Although I do find it doesn't last as long as my other Louis Vuitton perfume, which my first Louis Vuitton is like one in their collection all the time. And I can only, I have to spray it once and like walk through it and people can smell me from a mile away for hours. But the other one, the Afternoon Swim one, I feel like I have to go spray it everywhere. And then Nick wasn't smelling it after like an hour, like 2 hours ish. So I don't know what's up with that. Maybe Nick's nose is broken. So yeah, I treated myself to a Louis Vuitton perfume and then we just walked around and bought a lot of souvenirs. I got a lot of bracelets for people with like the evil eye on them. I got my mom a cute bracelet with like an elephant. Vicky got a lot of gifts. Oh, I found this one place where they do little magnets or framed pictures where they use rocks and put like faces on them to create little scenes. And it was very, very cute. So I got my mom and my sister. I got my sister and my dad some things from there. It's very cute. I also picked myself up one. They made the 2 rocks into like little birds sharing a tree branch. And I was like, that's so freaking cute. And I love it. So I also got myself something as well. When you're shopping for other people, you also have to shop for yourself. It's how it works. One gift for them, one gift for me, one gift for them, one gift for me. So then we also had like a little bit of time before dinner and we were kind of like all shopped out and we were carrying too many bags. So we stopped at a little bar called Katerina's and we just sat inside and had some of their drinks. They had a ton of drinks and it was just like a really cool vibe inside. It wasn't packed or anything like that. So we went inside, had a few drinks and just hung out and relaxed a little bit, kind of stopped ourselves from doing a lot. And then it was finally time to go to dinner. So we went to a restaurant called Theoni. And let me tell you, it was so hard to find this place. Like, we were following Google Maps and then I'm from New York. So I'm always trying to do that thing where like, I don't look like I'm trying to find Google Maps, but I am a tourist and I don't know where I'm going. So I am going to be following Google Maps. So Nick followed it. I tried following it and I'm like, I have no idea where this place is. And we're walking in these kind of I think we're like walking in people's backyards at one point and I'm like, this doesn't seem right. Like we're going very local out of Mykonos town and it felt very like just off. So then I'm like, we keep getting to this one spot and it's like, you have arrived. And I'm like, where is it? And I'm like, I'm convinced it's above us. Like there's this building on stilts and I'm like, I'm convinced it's above us, but I'm like, how do we get there? And then Sorry, I had to cut the audio abruptly there because my sister started calling me and I was so afraid I was going to lose like 20 minutes straight worth of audio for this plan with me. So I was like, pause before I even just like answered the call. But yeah, so back to where I was saying. We were like in people's backyards. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's above us. And I sort of recognized the area that we were in because the night before we had gotten a little lost trying to look for like the cab station because they had a cab station with all the cabs. You can't have... like you don't really have cars driving in Mykonos town because the roads are really, really narrow. They're like pedestrian roads only. And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's above us. And we have to like walk around, like keep walking in like through this little tiny sketch area to get to like the surface area. I don't know how to explain it. Before we get to like this hotel. And so we're following it again. And now it's telling me I'm going the right way again. And then we realize it's in a hotel. But there's like 5 different restaurants in the hotel. So we go in and we're like, is this the restaurant? And they're like, yes, here you go. Follow us. Seated. And we're like, whoo, we found it. There's nobody in this restaurant except for like a couple and a man on a phone. Nobody else. It's a huge restaurant, but nobody else. So I was like, woohoo, we get to pick where we sit. So I seat us right by the window in that little area that's on stilts above the ground. And it's nighttime, so it's dark. And you can't see like what's below you, but I kind of know we're by the children's park that we passed. And then all of a sudden, you hear what sounds like gunshots. And that's the only way I can describe it because it scared the absolute ever-loving shit out of me. I was freaking out. I can't even explain how like scared I was because it sounded like gunshots. And I saw like lights flaring below and people like smacking things and throwing rocks. And I was just like, what the heck is going on? So our waiter very nonchalantly comes up to us and he's just like, oh, don't worry. It's just the people in the park. They're lighting fireworks in trash cans. And I went, okay, sure. That's normal for them to be lighting fireworks in trash cans. And then like, it's like, if you have anxiety, you know, once all like the cortisol goes up in your body, like there's no coming down for that until you leave the situation that you're in. So we order food, we order drinks. I don't order alcohol because I know it's just gonna make my anxiety worse, which I'm glad I didn't. Nick's like staring across from me and he's like, oh God, like I don't know what to do. And I was like, and like he like recognizes at this point, like the night is over. We were gonna go to some bars afterwards, but he's like, the night's over because I'm like, do we have to walk back around in that area to get back into town? I'm like, I don't know where we are. And it's just scary because they're smashing things, throwing rocks at each other. I see people climbing up on roofs. They're throwing fireworks over people's fences. And like, I don't know if these people, like it's their fences or not. So it was like a scary situation overall. And everyone else was acting like it was normal, which it probably is, but it was just, they wouldn't, like every time they lit fireworks, I would jump out of my chair. I'm glad we only ordered a salad and 2 entrees because we were like out of there in no time at all. So the food was okay. The ambiance made it absolutely terrible. And I was so happy to get out of there to go back home. I took a bath. The hotel had actually given us some bath salts. So I ran a bath. Me and Nick sat in the bath and we were just like, what the heck? And then I think we watched some Jersey Shore and we fell asleep. We were like, let's try again tomorrow. So that was our Thursday. On Friday, we finally managed to make it to breakfast, which was delicious. They had cubes and like rectangular cubes of feta. And you could just load up your plate because it was like buffet style. And then they also gave you eggs. And they make the most delicious, like fluffy scrambled eggs I've ever had in my life. They were so good. So happy to have made it to breakfast. Plus it was free, which was nice. And then we actually had a spa reservation on this day. We were getting a couples massage, which was super nice. There was another thing that I wanted to get, which was called their like Haman, like ritual spa, like massage or whatever, but they could only do one person at a time. And it was like 90 minutes long. And we didn't want it to cut into our day if only like one of us could do it. So, you know, we like, no, I was going to say we suffered. We didn't suffer. What is the word? It's escaping me. We compromised and we were like, we settled. That's the word. We settled for a couples massage. It was wonderful. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep. And the only reason I knew it was done is because they raised the chair up and it was like I was coming back from the dead. But yeah. So we did that. Then we spent some time on our balcony and I realized it was kind of warm. So I was like, why don't we go down to the beach and just spend some time there? Because the sun is just like consistently out. So I don't think it'll be any different than sitting on our balcony to sit down by the beach. And then at least we can say we like sat down at our beach, and we had spent like a good 2 hours there. We got some drinks, and what is it? Yeah, I got to go in the water for a little bit. I was inspired because there was a woman just like swimming in it. It is freezing. The water was freezing. Do not get me wrong. But she was just swimming in there. And I was like, oh, well, if she could do it, I could do it. I didn't swim, but I did get in, and I tricked Nick into getting in. And I told him it wasn't that bad. But at least he got to dip his feet in the water. So then after that, we got ready and we went to a 180-degree sunset bar, which is like just overlooking all of Mykonos town. And it was spectacular views that we, for this place, they are very good about like where you sit. You can see the sunset from everywhere, but they make sure the people in front of you are like sitting in their seats so no one can see. But since me and Nick, we were like, this is our 30th birthday, we're going all out. We had paid for the seats that where like nobody's sitting in front of you, and you're overlooking the entire like marina, like bay area. And but like, so to pay for these seats, every seat that you sit in has a different minimum of how much they expect you to spend. And I will tell you, because I have no shame, that our seats were like 200 euros a person. And we kind of were like, that's expensive, but it also might not be that hard, because everything in Mykonos is so expensive that we'll have no problem reaching this minimum. We struggled. We got 2 drinks each. We ordered a bottle of wine, a seafood platter, a cheese like charcuterie platter, and we like could not get to the minimum. Like the guy, we were there for maybe like 4 hours, and the guy was like, you still have like this much to reach your minimum. And I'm like, just tell the guy we'll just pay the 400 euros. But then I saw he's like, you only need like $15 more. And I was like, okay. So I asked him to bring me like a pork souvlaki. Because I was like, just bring me the souvlaki. This was the one day that we had gotten drunk. And I think we didn't even realize we were drunk, but we had gotten drunk. Which after like 4 cocktails and a bottle of wine, it kind of makes sense. So yeah, we got back and I started packing because the next day we were leaving to Santorini. And so on Saturday we wake up, we make it to breakfast, and the hotel kindly, they set up a transfer. So they took us to the port where all the ferries were, which was super duper nice. So it was a really short ride. We got to see a lot of views. It was a beautiful sunny day, which of course it was. And we took a ferry from Mykonos to Santorini. We had a little bit of a hiccup because apparently you're supposed to check in and get a seat. And I didn't get any email to check in. I thought our ticket was our ticket and we just sit wherever. But because I did not quote unquote check in or get a seat, we almost couldn't get on the boat because I also never got like a barcode for our tickets. The man by the ferry was like super duper mad, but it's because there was a whole bunch of us that had not realized that we're supposed to check in at least an hour before the ferry, and we had gotten there like 15 minutes before it was supposed to leave. So he was not happy. We got on the boat, and then we just like walked up to another gentleman and we were like, we don't have a seat because we don't have a ticket. Like the guy just like verified that we booked something in the first place, but he wouldn't like tell us like our seat tickets or anything. He's like, just sit anywhere, and if someone gets on the boat and that's their seat, just move. Basically play musical chairs. Luckily we found 2 seats, and at no point did anybody claim those seats, which was really lucky. But I did get seasick. I didn't like throw up, but I was starting to get really, really seasick on this boat. It was like a 3-hour journey, and we stopped at a bunch of islands, which was okay. We were in no rush to get anywhere, but yeah, we were starting to feel seasick at like the tail end of it. And I think a big reason of it was because I pulled out my iPad and we were watching Queen Charlotte for a little bit, but I closed it, and then we tried to just like keep our eyes closed and like sleep. And I think we were a little hungover from the night before. So, yeah, that was super fun. Then we checked into our, our hotel. We also had a driver take us from the ferry to the airport, and he was super nice. Checked into our hotel. It was the best freaking hotel I have ever stayed at. So it's called Aria Villa and Suites. We stayed in a villa. I think we stayed in their like most expensive villa, but because it was off season, it was like cheap, relatively speaking. like the price we paid for the whole like 3 nights that we stayed there, we looked later and they are charging that per night in June and July and August. So, but it's wonderful. They bring you breakfast to your room. The views were freaking spectacular. And there were 2 hot tubs. There was one on the roof and then there was one like outside the bedroom, and you could still like see everything. It was in Fira, so you could see all of Fira. There was like this little gondola thing, cable car going up and down. It was my favorite sport to watch. I kept cheering for the gondolas every time I saw them. Every time I saw the gondola go up and another one go down and they crossed, I would cheer. I loved this hotel so much. It was so clean. It was spectacular. The air conditioning didn't work very well, and that was the only thing, if I'm gonna like make a comment about, that's what I am. But I would come back to this hotel in a heartbeat. So anyway, oh my God, the villa, marked that. Then Nick and I spent some time in the hot tub, the one that was the small one, the humble one, off to the side of the bedroom. And then we decided to explore Ia. So we, instead of getting a cab, we actually took the bus, which was very exciting. So I wrote that we traveled on the bus. It was like a 25 minute bus ride, and it only cost us like €160, which was crazy. And then we watched the sunset in Ia as we were walking down to Amudi Bay. We walked down so many steps. Again, the views are spectacular in Santorini. Oh my God. Like I don't have the vocabulary to properly describe the views, but we watched the sunset. We didn't have a reservation for any of the restaurants at the bottom, but it was like off season. It's like at the beginning of the season. So we were thinking like it wouldn't be like that big of a thing, but apparently it was. We went to Dimitri's, I think the place was called, and they basically looked at us like we were crazy. And then people were getting mad because I was like in their way of the sunset. Not people, this one family, and they were like shoving me out of the way, and I was like, I'm literally not in your way. I am like trying to blend in with this pole, so please stop shoving me, which is great. But there was like a restaurant right near them, and I was like, hi, do you by any chance have any like reservations? Like, we don't need to be sitting by the water, because like the tables are like by the water and you see like the whole sunset. I'm like, we don't need to sit by the water, we just want to seat and we want to eat something delicious. And they're like, yeah, sure, absolutely. We didn't sit like in the front and center of the row, but like when we're sitting like towards the back, there's only like 3 rows of tables, but we had spectacular views. We saw the sunset coming down, so we didn't really care seeing the sunset going down here. And I think the sun had actually set by the time we sat down, but it was fine. So the place was called Sunset Amudi. Absolutely recommend it. Our waiter was fantastic. He was so funny. He was so charming, and he was just like so nice to us and so attentive to us the entire time. He was funny. He was making jokes. He was really encouraging when Nick picked a wine. So it was super nice. Then after that, we had to walk up the stairs back up from Amudi, like all those steps, so many steps. I was getting a sore throat from like breathing too heavily, so that was super fun. But yeah, it was a lot of stairs climbing back up. You kind of realize how steep they are, because I was in sandals and I almost slid down the stairs. But going back up them, it was just insane. So then we got back home and we relaxed on our rooftop. You could see all the lights from the different hotels. You could see like the bars and the little like dinner areas, the restaurants playing a lot of fun music. And then it was really nice because at midnight we saw fireworks go off over the whole of Fira, and it was just so magical, and I loved every second of it. So yeah, and that was just the first day in Santorini. Can you believe it? So then on Sunday, it was Mother's Day, so I marked that. I had sent my mom some flowers. I remembered to do that before I left. Then we sunbathed on our rooftop. Well, actually, I think we like fried on the rooftop, because I remember being like really, really hot, because we were just waiting for the afternoon when we were going to go on our catamaran sunset tour, which was great. It took us to all the different beaches in Santorini. It took us to a hot spring that wasn't hot. And it was gorgeous. They also fed us. We were on the boat with like 3, 4, 5 other couples, and it was a mom and her daughter, and everybody was super like lovely and super friendly. I got to swim in the Aegean Sea. It was freezing, and I only counted on my organs going numb to keep me swimming in there. But you can't go to Greece and not swim in the Aegean Sea. So I jumped right in and started swimming. I also went into the hot springs, which were not hot, but it was an experience and I'm glad I did it. Then we got back home and I wanted to stop by to get some souvlaki because of course I did. And we stopped by this place called Lucky Souvlakis, which was like right next to the hotel and really easy to get there. It was delicious food. And then after that, we spent some time in the hot tub. Nick drank some champagne, tried to get me to drink more champagne, but I was like, nah, I'm not feeling it. So I think he drank most of the bottle by himself. And then we spent the rest of the night watching more Jersey Shore because of course we did. So then on Monday, it was our last full day in Santorini. So we explored Fira for a bit and I went souvenir shopping. So some people got souvenirs from Mykonos and Santorini, and then I got like little souvenirs. My friend Nick was like, I want specifically a Santorini magnet. And I was like, you got it. I also got some wine. Oh, we got wine later, but like we found some olive oil to get people. So it was super duper nice. Then we went to a place called Solo Gelato. We got some gelato. I wanted to say it was my first time getting gelato, but I think I had gelato somewhere else. I think I had it in like Paris, I think. But still, every time I have it, I'm always surprised by how delicious it is. And then, of course, we got more souvlaki. We stopped by a place and we got some quick lunch before our food and wine tasting tour. We split the souvlaki this time only because we were going like on a food and wine tasting tour. So I didn't want to be full, although I'm glad we did because the food did not come till the end of the tour and they had given us so much wine to try. And we were actually there with 3 couples who all knew each other. They were from Indiana. And they were so nice because they kind of like adopted me and Nick. They were like, it's like traveling with our kids without the responsibility. And I'm like, that's cool. So they were like trying the wine and spitting them into the spittoon things. I was drinking every glass I got down to like the empty. So I got a little wasty. I got a little hungry. I think I got a little hungry. I wasn't drunk, but I think I got a little hungry. So by the time the food came, I ate everything. But it was a super, super fun food and wine tasting tour. We had a lot of fun and we bought some wine. Not a lot of wine, but we bought some wine. And then we got back home and we had to pack, which was sad. We had to rearrange a lot of the stuff because the wine and the olive oil was going to weigh down our luggage, obviously. And my luggage already coming onto this trip was 50 pounds. So we had to get a little creative. And then we finished the night in the hot tub, spent a little time in there trying to just soak up everything and how cool it all was, because it was freaking spectacular. And it's just you want to sit there and you want to you recognize that at some point you will not be there and you just want to soak it all in so you remember it all, So then the next day, the last day, was our last full day in Greece, but we flew from Santorini to Athens. We took a taxi to the center of Athens and stayed at the Athens Gate Hotel. Plain hotel, nice hotel. It's just in the center of everything near the Acropolis and the Parthenon. So then we explored a little bit of the Acropolis and the Parthenon. I had gotten tickets to what I thought was the Acropolis Museum, but apparently it was to explore the actual Acropolis and Parthenon, which is not a deal breaker, but I thought we were going to the museum. So we walked into the museum and he was like, that's not what you have tickets for. And I was like, oh, that's a bummer. So we explored the Acropolis and the Parthenon, walked around there for a little bit. It was a really nice day. It wasn't too hot and it wasn't too cold. It actually rained for a bit, but we just walked through everything. And then we explored Plaka, which was just kind of a little market village nearby the Acropolis and the Parthenon when you walk off. So we explored there a little bit. We found a Da Vinci gelato, which was a recommendation from one of my friends to go try. And it was delicious. It's apparently everywhere. It's a chain, so it's not a solo place, but it's a chain, and the gelato was delicious and it looked stunning when they handed it to me. Then we had gone to get dinner before heading back to the hotel. We stopped by Athena restaurant. They fed us well there. The portions were crazy. We got hummus. And of course I ordered the salad because you knew I had to have my block of feta. And then we ordered our own entrees. And when the entrees came, they looked like family platters. And I even reopened the menu to see if perhaps they were family platters. They were not. So Nick ate his little, he had shish kebabs basically. And then he had to help me eat my gyros because I was not going to finish it all. So then I marked I ate too much, which was accurate. And then the last thing we did was watch some Jersey Shore, because of course we did, before going to sleep and having to say goodbye to Greece. I feel like I just told a bedtime story. So yes, that is my trip to Greece. That is my spread for Greece. Trips like this and marking them down in my planner is like a lot of the reason why I love doing planning this way, because now I have like all of these memories. Like, of course, I'm going to remember a lot of things that we did in Greece, like the core memories, but now I have like these just like little things that will spark the memory for me, and just getting to look back on this is great. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this plan with me. I hope you enjoyed all the stories. Yeah, I will be back in a few days to share Vegas, which is the next stop of this 30th birthday adventure. So it did feel like the vacation was ending, and then we kind of just had to remind ourselves that no, we're about to go on a second part of this trip that's probably even crazier than the first part. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!